Here we go again, folks. Here's another scandal on the world stage for us to perceive, for us to hold what our perspective is, and for us to see the mirror that's actually facing us. And so, what actually happened? What actually happened was that at a recent Coldplay concert, if you have been under a rock, you may not know about this. Otherwise, you definitely do know about this. Is that a CEO was filmed kissing a woman at a Coldplay concert, and the woman wasn't his wife. The woman was someone who reported to him. She was the HR manager at his business. The video went viral almost instantaneously. Public commentary was shaming. There were memes. Everyone was having such a great time making fun of these people, and even the friend that was next to them. People have been talking about her as well because she also worked for the company. And within days, the CEO has resigned and his wife has removed her surname, her married name, from her name on social media. And so whenever anything plays out on the public stage, it's always an opportunity to reflect on what is going on for us. What judgments are we still hanging on to? Why do we love to shame somebody else? Why do we love to step on this massive pedestal and feel so good about the fact that it's happening to somebody else and not us, because it would never happen to us? And what part of us is addicted to absolute outrage? There were so many comments of, well, I hope she cleans him up and I hope she gets all his money. And what is it about being the righteous observer? Because this isn't just a news story. Anything that plays out on the world stage is never, ever just a news story. It's an opportunity to actually look at ourselves, look at where we're still holding judgments and where we're still being triggered and what's really going on for us. And so, yes, it was out of integrity. In terms of what we witnessed, it clearly was out of integrity. They knew they were out of integrity. They tried to hide from the cameras as soon as the camera went onto them. And infidelity hurts. It breaks trust. It causes ripples through families. Many people would be in pain right now. And my heart goes out to everybody, including the CEO, including the girlfriend, including the friend that was there, because all of a sudden, all these people are in the public eye, and in the public eye in such a huge, huge way. So not only are all these families navigating how they're going to deal with this in their own world, but they're also navigating all eyes on them, and every move is now being judged. And so, yes, when you're out of integrity, it damages, it causes pain. And this video is not about excusing the behavior whatsoever. It clearly was out of alignment with the truth of who they really are. But here's the truth. Here's the truth. Here's the truth. We have all been out of integrity at some point in our lives, whether it's in our thoughts, in our relationships, in our businesses, in our inner lives. There's a reason as to why there is so much shame in the world. It's because we have felt out of integrity. So shame is where our actions, thoughts, and feelings are not aligned with the truth of who we know that we are. And so the fact that there is so much shame, and I'm speaking from a therapist who has seen thousands of people, there are so many stories where people used to tell me, oh, I bet you this is the worst story that you've ever heard. And no, it's not the worst story I've ever heard. There's plenty of stories. And so, yet, even though you have been out of alignment, even though you are out of integrity, you still like to stand on the stage and say, oh, what a terrible person. And so the difference is that when we fall down, our fall wasn't captured on camera for the whole world to see. And yet this situation was. And so my message to you is we really need to look at our own backyard because it's the only thing that really matters. So before we join the digital courtroom of judge and jury and how awful is this person and how bad is this person, how about looking at where we are out of alignment, where what we say that we do, we don't actually do behind closed doors? So when you reach a certain level of soul maturity, we check in with ourselves first. We tend to our own energy, not police everybody else's. We check in to see whether what we're doing in our life is in alignment. And so we need to do that first. You know, every time I think about this, I think about the Elvis Presley song, Clean Up Your Own Backyard. I'm not going to sing it. I'm a really bad singer, but I wish I could. But it's like, clean up your own backyard. Don't worry about what the neighbor's doing. Don't worry what everyone else is doing. Clean up your own backyard. The most important thing that we can do at this present time in our spiritual evolution is compassion. And I really feel compassion for this man. I really do. I feel more compassion for this man than his wife, because the wife is going to get plenty of support, plenty of love, plenty of comfort. But the man, he's been made fun of for the whole world to see. And so, yes, I still believe that it was all part of his soul journey. And I believe this was part of the girlfriend's journey. And I believe this is part of the wife's journey. And every single one of those players has something big to learn from the event that just played out on the weekend. But it's still hard not to be compassionate for every single player involved. From my perspective, that's the way that I see it, that I have just as much, if not more, compassion for the person that is vilified than the person that is made out to be the saint, because they're the ones that have done the act. They're the ones that have fallen from grace. They're the ones that have lost themselves. They're the ones that have forgotten who they are. And everybody is watching them and talking about them. And so we also need to know this, which is karma is already in motion. And so with karma, I don't mean that there is a God that sits there and judges. No, of course not. God is all loving. God does not charge. God does not judge. What I'm specifically referring to is that with every action that we take in the universe, there is a reaction. With everything that we do, with everything, even our thoughts, everything that we think, there's a ripple effect in the universe, and there is something that happens as a result of that. There is nothing that we can possibly do, whether it's in front of the public eye or in our own homes when nobody is watching, that doesn't have a reaction, that doesn't have a consequence, that doesn't have a ripple effect. And so karma is already in motion, not in the sense of punishment, but in the sense of there is a reaction to every action. And so we don't need to be the judge and jury when we see other people falling out of alignment. We don't need to do that, because the moment that we do that, we're out of alignment. The moment we judge someone else, we are then out of alignment, because God doesn't judge. And that's not the way that the universe works. But the way that the universe works is, like I said, that there is a perfect reaction to every action. And so therefore, this CEO, this girlfriend, they will feel the impact of their actions in a very, very, very powerful way, without a doubt. We don't need to be the ones that sit there and do that for them, because as soon as we do that, as soon as we become judge and jury, what will actually happen is that there will be karma with us. That's the way that it works. There will be a reaction to our judgment. And then we will see a mirror as to how we are out of alignment. And so we don't need to be judge, jury, and executioner. The universe is already balancing the scales. And so when we are reacting in this way, and there are a lot of people that are really triggered by this event, it's about something that's going on with them. So it's their shadow that's coming up. Perhaps they've been abandoned in the past. Perhaps they've been rejected in the past by someone else. And now that wound is getting like the Band-Aid is being torn off, and then they can feel the pain when they see somebody else do that to their wife. And so there's those unhealed wounds that always come to the surface whenever we're triggered. And there's also our fears, the fear of betrayal, the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment, all come to the surface. And this is perfectly natural. And there could also be a lot of guilt and shame about our own choices in the past. But where we grow as a soul is when we take radical responsibility for our own reactions. So if we saw that event happen at the Coldplay concert with the CEO and the girlfriend, and we feel anger, it's like, where's this coming from inside of me? What's this about? It's not about him. It can't be about him because I don't really care about him. It's got to be about me. And so we get real about what it is. We think that we're compassionate towards the wife. No, you're not compassionate towards the wife. If something happened to her, you wouldn't care. It's not about that. It's about you. It's about what's going on with you. And so always going back to yourself and like, where is this anger coming from? What is this arising from? What wound is still unhealed within me? Or where is this righteousness coming from? Or where is this sadness coming from? Where is it all coming from? Where is this shame coming from? Perhaps if you're in the position where you did something similar in the past, where you were out of integrity. And so remembering that from the soul's point of view, there is nothing random. From the ego's point of view, this was a big scandal, and we need to blame people and we need to show everybody else how good we are because we think this is so bad and therefore it makes us feel good. But from the soul's point of view, this was perfectly timed. It was a perfectly timed exposure to bring unconscious patterns to the surface for everyone involved, for the mistress, for the friend, for the CEO, for the wife, and for everybody watching. Everyone is playing their role in the greater awakening process. And so my invitation to you is when you see something like this play out in the public arena, rather than join the feeding frenzy, you can witness it and feel into what's going on for you. My initial thoughts was, oh, poor guy and poor girl. Like, oh, wow, you've got some tough times ahead. I know that your soul chose this path, but you've got some tough times that you're going to deal with. And my compassion goes out to all of them. And so can you stand for your truth and how you're feeling without disregarding your emotions, without disregarding your anger, without disregarding your sadness, without disregarding all of that, without shaming, blaming, judging others? Can you still feel the discomfort or what's going on in your own body and still choose love? Can you do that? And so what about if this is actually appearing in front of you right now as a test? So maybe the real question is not how can he do that, but the real question is how do I respond when someone falls? Do I respond with glee and happiness and joy? Or can I hold compassion and forgiveness in my heart, which is what we're here to do? Because this is the measure of our evolution, not our opinions, but our capacity to hold compassion in the fire. Compassion when people do fall. Forgiveness when they're out of alignment, forgiveness when they're out of integrity. This is what we are here to do in the evolution of human consciousness. That's my invitation to you. Always, always live in truth. And truth is about compassion, and truth is about forgiveness. It's not about blaming. It's not about shaming. It's not about judging. It's not about kicking people when they're already down. Always, always, always live in truth.